Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to another season review episode. And yes, I asked Liverpool fans to join this one, and they said no. Like nobody responded back, so that's why we've got that's why today's season review is at the mercy of these City and Chelsea fans. That's not my fault. I'm just saying, but we will try to be neutral. But anyway, we've got Siddhant on the show. Siddhant, welcome. It's been a while since we've had you, so it's very nice to have you back again on the show.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Yeah, you couldn't do the Chelsea one, so I guess this is the compensation one. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, and we've also got Adarsh, who is a Liverpool fan for a day. And whenever we do Liverpool review shows, then Adarsh becomes a Liverpool fan. So welcome back, and
it's always good to talk about like archist rival.
Yeah, it's always I know it's very ominously said, but yes, and of course we've got Gaurav, one of us regulars on the show. Gaurav, welcome back once again. Always a pleasure to have you.
Hi Rohit. Yeah, it's always good to be on the show.
Yes, it's great to have you guys. All right, so let's get straight into it. Liverpool. Let's start with you, Adarsh. Let's start with you this time. So 2 cups won, but 2 sort of like trophy opportunities lost. How do you look at the season? Do you look at it as an opportunity gained, or do you? Well, I mean, where do you see it? Do you see it as a good season? Do you see it as an unsuccessful season? Where do you stand on?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad season. I'd say it's a good season, but not something what they were expecting it to be. Because these 2 domestic trophies are something which acts as a morale boost for a title or a European trophy. It's not something which you aim for. It's something which you take along your way towards the finals and towards the last year of the Premier League. Yeah. It's not a bad season from any angle, but it's not something what they were just clearing out for. So it will work as a motivating factor for them, because at the end of the day, it's a silverware for both Klopp and the club, and for the players as an individual. So it will work as a silverware. It will work as a motivating factor for the next season. But again, they have been very close to both the trophies, both the silverware, but yet so far. So let's see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, talking about it, to Adarsh's point, the problem, and we kept talking about it all season long, and it was the issue was the fact that they were shaky defensively, they were missing chances. It happens against Chelsea in the 2 finals. It just felt like there was something missing, and they were not, and it finally came to a head in those crunch games towards the end of the season, where they finally got found out a little bit. Do you think that would be an area of concern to address in the summer for them?
Yes, I think the missing factor might be found in the midfield for Liverpool. I mean, they have a good defense, but particularly with respect to, midfield, but particularly if you compare their midfield with other world-class clubs like City, for example, that is the one thing where, they're lacking like a complete midfielder who can do everything. But apart from that, I think going by the standards of Liverpool and the kind of squad they have really, I think as a Liverpool fan, they must be thinking that, they have actually underperformed this season. They would have done well to actually win just the Premier League or just the Champions League rather than having these 2 domestic cups, I feel. And to Adarsh's point, they came so close, right? They came within just 1 point of the Premier League and finals of Champions League. And to your point, they actually were a little bit shaky on the defensive aspect, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can pinpoint any particular member of the defense who's responsible for that. Maybe it is just the system with which they play. And, like in the Champions League final also, the sole aim of Real Madrid was to frustrate them, to let them have their chances, to, just kind of believe in their own defense that, Courtois or, the other defenders would do well, and then hit the sucker punch, when they got their chance. So I think it is just about the whole pressing system of Klopp, which sometimes leaves their defense too high and high up and, chasing down the opposition attackers on the counter. So maybe it's that, but it is, to a point, it is unlucky, I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I think they were a bit lucky to win the 2 cups that they won against Chelsea. Because I think there's a little bit more better finishing from Chelsea. I mean, that anybody would accept that. If there was better finishing from Chelsea, they probably would have won that game, right? I mean, they had a couple of clear-cut chances. Liverpool had them too. They were profligate, but then they were profligate against Real as well. And I think if Chelsea had a better finisher up front, they might have won that one. I think that's something we talked about in Nishikant as well. But bringing you and Gaurav into this one, psychologically speaking, you come so close. And I always ask this question, and I will ask it when we do the Arsenal season review later today as well. I'll ask this question again. Is it better to be far away and to never be in contention and to fail that way? Or is it better to come, is it better or worse to come so close and then realize you just, you had it in your hand and you lose it from there, which is an easier one to digest, right? Psychologically speaking.
I think, Rohit, it depends on the mentality of the players and the coach. How you use that. Getting into the Champions League final and then losing it by the smallest margin, and you could say that Courtois won that match on his own for Real Madrid. I think Liverpool were the better team. They created more chances, and arguably, if the finishing was a little better, they could have scored at least 2 or 3 goals. So I would say, it depends how the players react. For example, when City lost to Madrid, I think the players reacted brilliantly. I didn't expect that to happen, to be honest. So, that only depends how the players react and how the manager is able to motivate them. I mean, they have an experienced squad right now, pretty experienced squad. And even if Mane, if he leaves, which he probably will, I still think they have a really, really good squad. And the only thing they lack right now, I think, is a proper number 9. Something which City did as well. So if they, take it in a positive way that, we were really, really close. And next year, if they push a little more, we might win the Premier League or Champions League next time around. Yeah. So I think they have it in them. They have a coach who will push them, Yeah. So I think, it will improve.
Yeah, well, that's a good point though, the squad, because it's a nice segue because we can move into the squad thing. Siddhant, Gaurav says that they need a number 9. What it just struck me actually is that when we talked about Liverpool's midfield, we always talked about it being workman-like. There was always that, that they were very high work rate. They were not necessarily very creative. The creativity came from the fullbacks and the wingers, right? I think this season he tried to change it by getting Thiago in. And I think it made a difference for a while, but now so now I guess that's been found out. So they probably need more creativity in midfield, but it's also an aging squad, isn't it? I mean, you look at some of the players, like you've got Mane is close to 30, Salah is close to 30, Henderson is past 30. I know we do opinions on it. When you say midfield, I knew who you're talking about, probably Henderson, but he's probably aging as well. You got Firmino is aging as well. And of course, Van Dijk as well, Matip as well. So there's a lot of players who are, approaching that age. Is that going to be one of the goals? I mean, they've already started refreshing the forward line. Maybe the next goal will now be to start looking at refreshing the midfield and the back line as well. But that might be something to be undertaken.
Absolutely. I think they have done their bit in signing Konate for the defense. So, I mean, they did the little bit of work in defense as well. And obviously, they have refreshed their forward line as well. Now, they will look at the midfield and, they will look to refresh it.
Yeah. Adarsh, do you think Henderson, what do you thought? We'll talk about individual players now because that's something to talk about as well. But do you think Henderson is someone who should now look to be more of a squad player rather than a starter for the team?
I wouldn't agree with you here because Henderson is an engine for them. He's someone who dictates the play for them. From call outs to controlling the tempo. He won't be controlling the tempo as like Cruz or Modric level, of course, like Kevin De Bruyne, but the tempo they need. Okay. So he brings out the ball from the back, from the defenders and distribute it to Alexander-Arnold or Robertson. He's the main guy for them. And he's someone on which the team relies on. So he's there. He's obviously getting older with time. He's 31, 32 now. So midfield is something which they will be probably looking forward to in bringing more quality into the midfield and refreshing the midfield because defense is all sorted out. They have Joe Gomez, who's young, Konate, who's young, who hasn't lost a single match until the finals, like 25, 26 matches. He hasn't lost a single match in Liverpool's jersey until the final. He's great. Alexander is young. Robertson is like close to prime, like 25, 26 maybe. He's young. Alisson
I think he's older than that, no? Robertson is probably 20. He's been 25, 26 for years now. I think he's probably close to 29.
Must be like 27, 20 or something.
Yeah.
But he's enjoying the time. He can play for like 4-5 years more. That's fine. Alisson can play for like 3-4 years more. They've like started to working on their front three they were keeping in mind how Mane and Salah might leave. So they brought in Diaz with urgency to settle in these 6 months so that they can rely on Diaz to start when Mane leaves. So that's a good aspect. And Roberto Firmino, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with Firmino anymore. Like, until 2 seasons back, he was great for them. He was proper, like, false nine for them. But now he doesn't seem to start. And Jota is one-dimensional, quite one-dimensional. He's good without the ball, I would say. Like, he's good in positioning and finishing, but with ball, he's a really bad carrier of a ball. You can't just give ball to him and like wait for the opportunity to arise. So they really need a midfield. They really need a midfielder who can dictate a play, like Thiago. But if you man-mark Thiago, all they are left with is Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. And that if you have a pacey winger, for example, Real Madrid had Vinicius Jr., who's always on the shoulder of Alexander-Arnold so that he doesn't go forward because of the counter they might face. If you have a pacey winger, Alexander-Arnold won't go forward, and all they have to do is rely on the midfield, and which Thiago was man-marked. He wasn't allowed to like move forward or have any kind of space. So that is where they were struggling. So Salah can score, but the deliveries has to come to them. So that is the problem which they face.
The Gaurav, two others respond, of course, about the front line. They're not just, well, they might lose Mane. I think that's pretty much a big possibility at this point. They're also going to lose Origi. They might lose Minamino as well. Firmino is not in form. It almost seems like they're going to need a few new forwards to come in. Obviously, they probably will need that. But what impact will that have as well on Salah? Because, I mean, there's talks well that they don't generally get along that well. I think that's a bit overblown. I do think they get along. But do you think Salah will now be the, he's obviously been the main man, but I think he'll probably be having more responsibility as well now to guide this next generation of Liverpool forwards, going into the new season.
I think it depends who they're going to sign. I think they have needed a prolific scorer for last 2-3 years. They have lacked that. If you see Firmino is more of a number 10 who likes to drop deeper and link up with the fullbacks and midfielders or the wingers, and he kind of, you could say that he suits their game, the type of game that Liverpool play. But I think they would do really, really well with the proper number 9. Someone like, you could say, Haaland.
But I think Nunez is the one that's being linked right now.
Nunez. I think even Lewandowski, if they can get them, I think he has played under Klopp, and Klopp could use those connections and everything. So I think Salah has to take that responsibility. He'll probably be the most senior player, if you consider the attackers, if Mane leaves. And he has been kind of out of form since the AFCON. His form's dropped tremendously, and I think he's lost a little bit of pace as well.
Do you think that made an impact? The failures that he had with Egypt, because he lost in the finals to Mane Senegal in the AFCON. Then they got knocked out of the World Cup as well. Same again by Senegal. Do you think that has had an impact on him as well?
I think so. When I see him play for Egypt, I think he's really someone who's really, really passionate. To play for his country, and when you have that, it kinds of when you lose the game and you go out of a big competition, it definitely has an impact, psychologically as well. And the another problem I think that Liverpool have in the squad right now, I think as good as Alexander-Arnold is going forward, I think he has been a liability in defense whenever I've seen him play. Like most of the goals that they've scored either came from that right wing, or he has been out of position, and opposition teams left midfielder or left winger has scored that goal. I think he could be better suited to a midfield role if Klopp can transform into a more of a midfield player, and they sign a more reliable right back. That is something I think they have struggled a lot this season as well.
I don't think he can play midfield, to be honest. I don't think he can. I mean, I know there's always talk about playing him centrally, but that's, I think, more English, obsession with trying to have people. I don't think he has the passing.
If only he would have been at City, he would be playing in the midfield, believe.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
I think he could be. He can play like the right wing back of a 3-4-3.
Yeah, he could play right wing back, and he could play that. He could play in a 4-4-2 as well. He could be a right midfielder in a 4-4-2. I don't think he can be a right central midfielder. I don't think in a midfield 3 or a midfield 2, I don't think he can be a central midfielder, because
I think he has been found
his short passing is not that good. I mean, he's got crosses. I don't think his short passing is that good. In midfield, you need that more than your crossing. So that's where I stand on it. But yeah,
I think a lot of teams have found out that as well that he could be targeted. You see City or any other team playing against Liverpool, that right wing is targeted a lot, and I know I think that
because
has
you've
been
got Salah
something
and Alexander-Arnold. You got two guys.
yeah,
Who very, very
Salah
good.
who doesn't like to track back, and Arnold who always wants to go forward. So,
yeah, definitely that is an issue. And I think again it goes back to midfield as well, because before Fabinho would cover for him, Henderson would cover for him. I don't think they have the legs now to do that, to cover for those guys. So therefore that also creates a problem. It creates an overload.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, Rohit, you were discussing Henderson with Adarsh. I think as Adarsh said, he's as I could say he's an engine for the team, but if you look at him like quality wise or technically, he doesn't have that ability that you could say
That's what I wanted from controversy. And then I did Adarsh, but then he didn't do it. He's failed me, but Gaurav never fails me. That's why Gaurav is my favorite.
I think he lacks that technical ability that you could say that De Bruyne or Bernardo or even Gundogan has. He sort of covers it up with the his hard work and his work rate and everything. But I think they need to replace it. They need to find a better player in that role.
Yeah, when we look at it, they've also got James Milner, who's again getting up there in age as well. So definitely that midfield needs improvement. Siddhant, talking about defense, we talked about Trent Alexander-Arnold, but Virgil van Dijk. What are your thoughts on him this season? Because he had a tough last season. Obviously, Jordan Pickford did what he did to him. Do you think he's recovered well this season, or do you think it's still a work in progress coming back?
From what I understand, I think Virgil van Dijk, his prime is done. I think now he's doing well. I mean,
this is where we get to the stabbing, right? Like a stab. Yeah, good career now. No, carry on, please.
Yeah. So
wait for him to tell you how good Thiago Silva is.
Ruben Diaz. Tell me about Ruben Diaz. We didn't ask you about Ruben Diaz. There you go. That's the one.
Yeah, let's have another complete show just for him.
we might, yeah. We'll do a short on that one. Anyway, go ahead, please talk.
Yeah. So basically, till his injury, he was at a really world-class level. Maybe maybe in the top 2, top 3 centre backs in the world. But after his injury, and even sometimes the body asks you to slow down, right? I mean, and it is difficult to perform that well after such a major injury. And he's also close to 30, 31 or so. So
yeah,
I think so I think he's going to, he has hit a plateau already. And I think over the next 2-3 years, you'll see that, he's not able to play even at this level. I don't think he's going to go above this level at all, So I think he has maxed out and he is good for them and he should continue playing for them for the next 2 to 3 years. But I don't think we can expect more from him for this Liverpool team.
I just think, he's lost a bit of pace. And that happens when you have an injury. You lose pace. And in Liverpool's system, you've got to have pace because you're always asking to drive back. And if you watch that goal against the Champions League, that he just looked like he was gassed the way he came back. And he overran because he was trying to overcompensate, runs back, and then he tries that the Maguire tackle that we called. He tried to do that.
And I think that was his main quality. He had. I never really saw him running, getting past him because of his pace.
Yeah, and I think he's lost that. So anyway, but it's a major injury, and sometimes things, players take a while to come back. So maybe you might see better next season. Adarsh, thoughts on Jurgen Klopp this season? What would you rank him? Where would you rank him if you had to give him a ranking?
Second best manager after Pep, but I don't think Premier League agrees with me after giving him the Premier League Manager of the Season award. But
see, that's when you get into other specifications. You tap into you don't even know the questions, the leading ones.
So, apart from that, he had a decent season when it comes to England alone. Like winning 2 out of 3 trophies in England, that's a good thing. And reaching to the finals of a European competition is a good thing in itself. But if you see closely, they lost a Champions League final in 2019, and the very next season they won the league. So they lost the Champions League final this season.
No, they lost the final in 2018. They won it in 2019.
Sorry, 18, and they won the league in 19.
No, they won the Champions League in 2019. They won the league in 2020.
Yeah, 2020. So it's just the next season they won the league.
The next season they won the Champions League, then they won the Premier League the following season.
Okay, yeah. So you never know. They have that mentality of coming back strong. So Klopp has that thing in him.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't
He has
happen.
rebuilt this team. So he has that capability of rebuilding players after players. So if correct amount of money is introduced into the bank, into the transfer market, I guess he'll get the players he wants. He has already signed an extension with the Liverpool side. So he's here to stay as far as the players are willing to play for him. And they are obviously willing to play for him. So I guess Liverpool are open to spend as well. There's a reason they are willing to sell Mane and Salah as well if they're not signing the contract.
Yeah.
And they're not like waiting for them to go out on free. So they are willing to introduce new players. And if new players are introduced in the correct department, as per his requirement, I think he'll be competing for both the European and domestic trophies once again. There's no doubt about it. He has that squad. He has that mentality. All he needs is just refresh legs. That's it.
Yeah. Before I come to Gaurav, and I will mention this as well, they lost to Real Madrid in that final. And then they won it against Spurs the next season. Who do Spurs have? Spurs have Konate as a manager who was going to be in the Champions League. So that might be another final again. And then they'll probably win the league after that. Anyway, that would be a nightmare scenario. I'm going to talking about the summer though. It's funny how many clubs need an overhaul, right? The City here are saying that they need an overhaul. I don't know why, but they need an overhaul. Spurs are going to do an overhaul. Chelsea need an overhaul. United, of course, well, they need more than an overhaul. They need a Hail Mary, but that's different. And then you've got, apparently Liverpool also looks like they need an overhaul. What do you see as goals for the summer? What are the players that they need to sign?
I think definitely a striker. I think they are sorted in the wingers department. They have Jota, Diaz, and Salah. I think 3 players they are enough. If they sign
plus Fabio Carvalho as well.
Yeah, Carvalho as well. So if they sign a proper number 9 and maybe someone like Gundogan or someone to play in that midfield, a creative midfielder.
Okay, yeah, creative midfielder possibly, yeah.
They need a couple of.
Do they need a backup right back? Do they need a backup right back?
They need a backup. That's what I was going to say. They need a couple of more players. But the thing is, if they go for a frontline striker, someone, who they're going to spend 60-70 million on, then there's probably not enough budget left. Yeah. I don't think they're going to spend 200 million again.
In the midfield, I guess there's a very small difference between Manchester City's defensive midfield and Liverpool's defensive midfield. If you look 2 players closely, like Rodri and Firmino, they both have same work to break the play and distribute the ball. But when it comes to the distribution aspect, Rodri is way ahead of Firmino.
Rodri is actually a very good ball carrier as well.
Yeah, ball carrier. Firmino is a poor ball carrier. He can't take the ball forward. He can't defense maybe better than Rodri, but sometimes you don't need a better tackler when you have the ball. You need someone to distribute it forward. And Firmino is very poor in that. This is where Rodri comes in handy for City. His distribution is very good.
I have mentioned that on some reaction shows though, I said Fabinho's distribution has been really bad, but the Liverpool fans have always maintained that they prefer his tackling to his distribution. So, I mean, and to be fair, Liverpool's midfield wasn't the one that was creative. It was always about winning the ball quickly and then letting the fullbacks and the forwards do the damage. So I think maybe that's something that needs to change. Maybe a formation change next season. So maybe a 4-2-3-1 might be something that they might look at, and maybe that will help them as well. So we'll see what happens. Siddhant, who's your player of the season for Liverpool? That's the final question, I guess, that we're getting into. Yeah.
Player of the season for them should be Mane, I guess, because he has been more consistent throughout the season. Salah was blistering in the first half, but then subdued in the second half. So I would say Mane is the one. Yeah.
Gaurav?
I think someone who has been really brilliant throughout the season is Alisson. So I think Mane has been good, but he hasn't, that Salah was brilliant in the first half of season. Mane was more consistent throughout the season, but he didn't have that patch, when he just bursted onto the scene, scored a lot of goals in 4-5 matches. That never happened. So I'd say very tough to give, but I think Alisson has been brilliant this season.
Adarsh?
Mane for me is because of his consistency. Salah dropped down in 2022, but Mane didn't. He was scoring even every odd game, if not like every game. But Salah did stop scoring in a while this year. So Mane for me.
Yeah, I think Mane.
Adarsh, I would ask you a question. Okay. So, how bad do you think Raheem Sterling was this season?
This is not a City show. This
No.
show.
This is in comparison with Vani. After he answers, I will tell him something.
It's just, for me, he's been really poor.
Okay, so let me tell you that total, the total goals and assists that Mane has scored, and the total goals and assists that Sterling has scored, the difference is only 5, and Sterling has played 3 less matches than Mane.
And how many has both of them missed? That's the question.
Yeah, but Sterling has played way less matches.
See, you can't outstats the stats, man. That's what they say, right? But
I just want to add one more thing with respect to Liverpool here. That for me, after Mane, the second best player has been Luis Diaz, and
he was going to be my pick. I was going to actually pick him to be player of the season because I think he made a transformational impact on that. On the season.
Just because he has come in Jan, that's why we are not picking him. But he's the reason why Liverpool got back so close to City.
I would pick him actually, because Bruno came out season and he was still player of the season, so it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, his impact was tremendous. I think he made a tremendous impact after coming.
Luis Diaz, I think it was a master stroke signing, and if they had won a quadruple, we probably would be sitting and saying that was a signing that made a difference. But unfortunately that didn't happen. But I think Mane does go a little bit under the radar, when he's played alongside Salah. So maybe when he moves to a new club where he'll be the main man, maybe that might help him stand out more. So that's something that we can keep an eye on. But I think you can't go wrong with Mane, you can't go wrong with Alisson, you can't go wrong with Luis Diaz. You can put whoever you want. It's the inverse where we had to think about who is the flop of the season for United, where we're just trying to scratch our heads because so many candidates here. For City, it's very simple. There's Kevin De Bruyne. Everybody says Kevin De Bruyne. But Liverpool, you've got to think a little bit because everybody has had a good season. So, that's the way it is, right? But anyway, thank you so much, Siddhant. Thank you so much, Adarsh. And thank you so much, Gaurav, for joining me on this show today. Really appreciate your insights. And it's good we kept it a little bit positive about Liverpool, but then we also got a few shots in. So, it's a nice best of both worlds, right? So that's great to have. Thank you guys so much. If you smash like, by the way, smash like for Liverpool. If you were happy with their season, or if you want to troll them, smash a like for that. Do share your comments about what you think for Liverpool's season. How did it go? What are your thoughts? What do you think could have been better? Where do you think they could have probably could they have got that? What could they have done to get that quadruple? Let us know in the comment section. Of course, do remember to to subscribe to our channel on YouTube as well as on Facebook. We are going to do a lot more videos. There's a lot of transfers happening. Sheikh Khaldoon has always said he's going to spend another 200 million. So that means we've got a couple more videos that will come out, of course, for a couple more players that will be coming. As Gaurav looks at me very, very, disgustingly. But that means we've got a couple more content videos to come as well. So do subscribe and you get notified for those things that happen. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.